He didn't believe in magic, much less love. But when he brushed sand from the ancient pod buried beneath the twin moons, and she opened her glowing eyes, his life, and hers, were never the same again. The moons of Aurelia hovered high in the sky, casting pale light over the endless desert dunes. The wind whispered like a memory long forgotten. Jason Hale, former rebellion pilot and fugitive of the Terran Assembly, staggered through the golden sands with cracked lips and blistered hands. His ship, the Red Star *, lay smoldering a mile behind him, swallowed by the sand. He had nothing left but his will to survive. Stumbling behind a rocky outcrop, he collapsed to his knees and dug furiously with bare hands. Something had glinted under the moonlight. Metal? Crystal? A pod? No, a sarcophagus. Its surface shimmered with intricate glyphs, like constellations trapped beneath glass. He wiped away the sand until his fingers found a pulse, not mechanical, but alive. The pod trembled softly under his touch. Then, it opened. A hiss escaped the seams, releasing a breath older than any calendar. Inside lay a woman unlike any he'd ever imagined. Her skin glowed soft blue like starlight, and long, obsidian-black hair flowed around her shoulders. Her garments shimmered with fibers that shifted like nebulae. Eyes still closed, her face bore the grace of royalty and the vulnerability of sleep. Jason stared. "What are you?" he whispered. As if hearing him, her eyes opened. They were glowing. Not with light, but with memory. Ancient, heavy, and heartbreakingly beautiful. She sat up slowly, her hands pressing into the pod's edges. Her gaze locked with his, unblinking. "You are not from this place," she said in a voice like velvet, echoing in his bones. Jason backed away. "Neither are you." She rose, her movements fluid, graceful. The desert wind danced around her, wrapping her in ethereal dignity. "Who freed me?" she asked. I did. By accident." She stepped closer, each footfall weightless, her presence warping the air. "Then by the law of the old star, I owe you 3 wishes," she declared. Jason blinked. "Wait, what?" She placed a hand on his chest. It was cool and electrifying. 3 desires. "You may speak them, and I will bind them to fate." He opened his mouth to protest, to question, but then he saw her eyes again. So full of sorrow. So alone. The words escaped him before he could stop them. "I want to know what love truly feels like." The desert stilled. The moons above dimmed. Her breath caught in her throat. "You wish for love?" He nodded. She stepped back, unsure. This was not the kind of desire she had been trained to fulfill. But the ancient code compelled her. She raised her hand, touched her forehead, then his. In an instant, their minds locked. Images. Emotions. Fragments of longing and laughter. His childhood pain. Her centuries of silence. His betrayals. Her sacrifice. It all flowed like starlight between them. Jason gasped. Her essence wrapped around his soul. It was intimate. Terrifying. Beautiful. When the vision broke, he fell to his knees, breathless. She stood trembling. "I have granted your first wish. You now carry my memory, and I, yours." He looked up at her. Was it real? She smiled faintly. As real as stars burning in silence. The bond forged between them shimmered in the air, unspoken yet palpable. He reached for her hand. She let him. "What do I call you?" "Zyreel," she answered softly. A gust of wind swept the dune, scattering stardust across the sands. Jason held her gaze, his heart racing. He had survived the crash, yes. But something told him that what came next would make the fire of his past feel cold. Zyreel turned toward the horizon. "This world remembers pain. I sense it still. And something else, a darkness you carry." Jason looked away. She touched his chin and turned him back. "You wished for love, Jason Hale. But you didn't say whose." The desert stars burned brighter. In silence, they began walking. Together. Toward the unknown. The days on Aurelia passed like dreams, stretched across silken light and haunting echoes. The desert was no longer just a place of exile. It had become their sanctuary. Jason and Zyreel walked together beneath twin suns and beneath stars so old they hummed lullabies of forgotten empires. Zyreel showed him the land, but more than that, she showed him her heart, or what pieces remained after 1,000 years of slumber. Her voice was steady, melodic, and yet Jason could feel the sorrow hidden beneath every syllable. They found a grove of crystal trees, spindly, translucent structures that pulsed with pale light. "This was once the throne's edge," she said. "My people lived within the light. They fed it joy, and it fed them peace." Jason touched one gently. It responded with a soft glow, like it recognized him. "Why were you sealed away?" he asked. Zyreel hesitated. "Because I chose love once before." His heart faltered. "Did it cost you everything?" She didn't answer, only stepped forward and pressed her forehead to one of the trees. Jason watched the grief swirl in her. And then he said the words that came without thought. "I wish to know who you were before all this." The second wish. The moment it left his lips, the air shifted. The grove darkened slightly, and a hum of energy coiled around them like wind through hollow bones. "Are you certain?" she asked, her tone sharpened with the weight of the past. "Yes. Show me the real you, Zyreel." She stepped to him, gently took his face in her hands, and closed her eyes. The stars bent. The sky pulsed. Suddenly, he was no longer standing. He was there inside her memories. A palace of stars. Courtyards of floating platforms and singing vines. Zyreel in golden robes, commanding starships and diplomats, offering peace to worlds her people had once conquered. She was regal, fierce, and kind. Then, the war. She defied her father's counsel. She sought peace with the rebels instead of their destruction. But her choices made her a threat. Betrayed by her kin, she was exiled and sealed beneath the sands of Aurelia. The final memory shook him, Zyreel watching her lover, a soldier she had once trusted, walk away as the stasis chamber closed around her. Her hand reaching out, unanswered. Jason staggered back into his own body. Tears wet his face. Zyreel opened her eyes slowly. "That was the last time I cried." Jason didn't speak. Instead, he reached for her hand, not with pity, but understanding. "You didn't deserve any of that." She gave a fragile smile. "No one does." That night, they sat by a pool of mirrored water nestled between stone cliffs. The water reflected not just the sky, but their emotions. Jason dipped his hand in and saw Zyreel's reflection look back not at the water, but at him. "You carry guilt," she said softly. He nodded. "My team died because I ran. I was supposed to lead them into peace. Instead, I led them into a trap." Zyreel turned toward him. "You ran to survive. Survival isn't betrayal. But I lived. And they didn't." The silence between them was warm, not cold. It wrapped around them like a blanket. Then, she did something unexpected. She leaned in, slowly, as if the universe might crack if they moved too fast. Her lips brushed his. Just once. A shockwave of warmth spiraled between them. The pool rippled. The stars above flared brighter. "Your world teaches that love is chosen," she whispered. "Ours believed it was fate. Now, I wonder if both are true." They stayed close, their foreheads pressed together. "Why do you let me get close to you?" he asked. "After what you lost." "Because you never asked for power. You asked for love. And then you asked to see me, not save me. That's rarer than you know." She rested her head on his shoulder. He held her, as though the desert might vanish if he let go. Later, as they lay on soft sand beneath the crescent moons, she traced the lines of his palm. "Jason, one wish remains." He turned to look at her. "What will you do with it?" He hesitated. In his mind, thousands of possibilities raced. He could wish for escape. For revenge. For glory. For Earth to be restored. But none of them mattered now. He stared at her glowing skin, the softness in her breathing, the slow rise and fall of someone who had learned to love again. "I don't know yet," he admitted. "But I'll only use it if I have to." She nodded, content. Above them, the stars shifted. A comet passed, briefly illuminating their silhouettes against the sands. They fell asleep, fingers intertwined. Neither of them knew what was coming. But for the first time in eons, Zyril dreamed. And in her dream, he never let go. The wind howled that morning. Jason woke to find Zyril standing alone atop a dune, her silhouette framed by the burning rise of Aurelia's twin suns. Her gown shimmered in soft reds and blues, her hair dancing like smoke in the breeze. He watched her for a moment before approaching. "You didn't sleep." "I don't need to," she said without turning. "Not anymore." "But you dreamed." She turned her eyes to his. "Yes. Of you." Jason climbed beside her, brushing her hand with his. She didn't pull away. "Tell me what you saw," he said. "A future where I didn't have to choose. Where love didn't cost lives. Where I was more than duty." Jason exhaled. "Sounds like the kind of future I want too." They stood in silence, the weight of their bond growing heavier with each passing hour. Zyril whispered, "You must be careful with your third wish." He turned to her. "Why do I feel like it's the last string holding you here?" She said nothing, only stepped down the dune and beckoned him forward. "Come. There's one place I haven't shown you." They traveled by foot until the sand turned to dark obsidian. At the heart of this basin lay a circular stone, ancient and cracked, glowing with faint etchings. The air shimmered with memory. "What is this?" "The anchor," she said. "The source of my people's power. The place where all wishes must end." Jason looked around. "And if I make the final wish here? It will be bound not only to me, but to the fate of this world." His heart pounded. "Why didn't you bring me here earlier?" She met his eyes. "Because I hoped you wouldn't wish at all." That night, the stars seemed to gather closer. Jason sat beside the anchor, staring at its glowing runes, while Zyril hummed softly in the distance. Her song stirred something ancient within him, a yearning that had no name. When she approached, her face was unreadable. "Have you decided?" she asked. He nodded. "Yes." She knelt beside him, holding his hand, tighter than before. Jason took a breath. "I want you to come with me. Not as a queen. Not as a goddess. Not even as someone bound to a wish. Just as you. As mine." Zyril's breath hitched. Her eyes widened. Then, she fainted ***. Jason caught her before she fell, alarmed. Her body glowed violently, pulses of energy radiating from her chest. "Zyril. Hey. Stay with me." She trembled in his arms, her skin flickering between light and shadow. Her lips parted, whispering something in a language he didn't understand. And then, silence. Jason lay her down, panicking. The ground beneath the anchor cracked. The symbols began to twist, shifting colors wildly. Suddenly, she gasped and sat upright, clutching her head. What have you done?" He blinked. "I just asked you to come with me. That was my wish." Her eyes filled with tears. "Jason, that wish unbinds me, completely. My power was tied to this world. I was its vessel. Its queen. Without me." A thunderous crack split the sky. Far in the distance, a tower of light burst from the horizon, swirling into the heavens like a beacon of death. Zyril clutched her chest. "The moon's core, it's destabilizing." Jason looked around. "Then let me fix it. Take the wish back." "You can't," she said. "It's sealed. I accepted it in my heart before I lost consciousness. Then I'll wish again. There are no more wishes." They stared at each other, fear, love, and sorrow all crashing at once. "I never wanted to hurt you," he said. "You didn't," she replied. "You loved me. And I loved you back." The ground shook. "Then what do we do?" he asked. Zyril rose, trembling. "I need to find the core, and give it something stronger than power." Jason followed her as she walked into the desert, the anchor stone now splitting open behind them. The stars above trembled. The wind howled. They found the heart of Aurelia, a glowing chasm beneath a canyon, the world's last breath pulsing deep below. Zyril turned to him, her hand in his. "I can restore it, if I pour all my being into the core. But I won't survive it." Jason shook his head. "No. There has to be another way." She kissed him. Slowly. Deeply. her tears mixing with his. Your wish gave me something no one else ever did. Choice. Jason backed away, refusing. Please, don't. I was born to protect, she whispered. Now I choose who I protect. Then, before he could stop her, she stepped into the light. Her body lifted, dissolved into a storm of glowing particles, flowing into the chasm like stardust. Jason fell to his knees, screaming her name. The world shook once more. Then, peace. Aurelia's sky turned a soft lavender. The wind stilled. The runes on the anchor faded. And in the silence, Jason wept. But in the stars above, something shimmered. A pulse. A whisper. The shape of her eyes. The silence after her sacrifice lingered like an echo that refused to fade. Jason sat at the edge of the heart of Aurelia, his hands still trembling, eyes locked on the place where Zyreel had vanished. The winds that once howled across the dunes were quiet now. The world had calmed, as if mourning with him. He didn't know how long he sat there. The desert's new serenity felt unnatural. Not peaceful, but hollow. Every step he took away from the chasm felt like betrayal. He made his way back to the remains of his escape pod, now barely functional. The wreckage had cooled in the sun, and the emergency beacon blinked faintly, a miracle it still worked at all. He activated it and watched the signal pulse into the stars. But Jason didn't care if it brought rescue. Without her, nothing felt worth returning to. Night fell. He built a small fire and sat beside it, clutching the stone pendant Zyreel had left behind, a sliver of her original stasis pod, now glowing dimly with her final energy. That night, he dreamed. Not of Earth. Not of war. But of her. In the dream, she stood in a vast field of light, her back turned to him. When he called her name, she smiled, but didn't turn around. You gave me freedom, she whispered. So I gave you a future. He reached out, but woke up grasping only air. Days passed. He wandered Aurelia in a trance. Eventually, a rescue vessel responded. It wasn't Terran. It wasn't Rebel. It was something new. The ship bore no flag, no markings, just sleek, humming silver and soft blue lights. When it landed, no one stepped out. Instead, a door opened, silently inviting him in. Jason hesitated. And then he heard it. Her voice. Jason. He turned around, heart hammering. No one was there. But the pendant around his neck pulsed softly. He stepped inside. The interior of the ship pulsed with familiar energy. Crystalline panels, whispering winds, the same ethereal hum that once surrounded her presence. The ship responded to him like it knew him. A console lit up. Her voice again. This vessel was born from the last of my power. It will take you where you must go. Tears burned his eyes. Are you alive? He whispered. No answer. Only silence. He set coordinates for deep space. For anywhere but home. The ship lifted, smoothly breaking orbit. Years passed. Jason became a traveler, a ghost in the void, helping colonies, healing rifts between species, telling stories of a blue-skinned princess whose love saved a world. Many called him mad. Others listened with reverence. But no matter where he went, he never stopped searching. Until one day, in the outer rim of a nebular field near the Lyrenian Veil, his ship detected an anomaly. A single star pulsing irregularly. As he approached, the system responded to his presence. The ship's sensors began to hum with rising frequency. He looked out. A glowing temple hovered in space, suspended by impossible energy. He docked. Stepped out. Inside, he found it. A chamber of light. And in its center, a figure. Blue-skinned. Hair flowing like dusk. Eyes closed in deep sleep. Zyreel. Preserved in stasis, but alive. No machinery. No containment. Just her, glowing softly like a promise unbroken. Jason dropped to his knees. A pulse echoed through the chamber. Her eyes fluttered open. She looked at him and smiled. 3 wishes, she whispered, voice trembling, were never enough. Jason rushed forward. This time, he held her. And she held him back. In that moment, no war, no empire, no ancient code could touch them. Love had defied fate. and one. Together, they stepped out of the temple, not bound by wishes, not torn by time, but free. Forever.